So let's begin in a seated position. The familiarity of which may already be drawing us into certain attentional and breath patterns where we're moving, coalescing, moving in, sensing body, receiving impressions, sensing. And let me say that again, feel your breath nearing your core, if not contacting your core. So contacting our core is a rather precise moment that is clearly identifiable, in that when we contact anywhere in our core, there seems to be this inroad to everywhere in our core. So to me, it feels of such particular locale, of such a particular quality of touch and fineness of attention, that to have found myself centrally anywhere in core is to discover everywhere in core. We'll start with finding or nearing the center of one's head. We'll be going through alternate nostrils. And let us feel not only to the most inward part of the nasal cavity, but actually a little bit beyond the nasal cavity, so that we're situating behind the bridge of the nose, behind the nasal cavity, in the head space. So you can feel for that midpoint between your ears and just a little behind the nasal cavity as we do this alternate nostril breathing. Select any hand that you want to begin with. And drawing the breath through one nostril, again, feel not just to the nasal cavity, but feel inside the head space. Switch nostrils to exhale. Use the sensation of in and out breath to help you locate a center. So the inhale is a particular quality of current. The exhale has a particular thermal quality, current quality, and you can start to feel right between those two differing currents, the in and the out, the inhale and the exhale. So if you're accustomed to situating from the eyes, viewing and seeing from the eyes or in front of the eyes, this locale has a bit more of a going back feeling. It's almost like I'm situating far enough back in my body that I could almost view the interior of my face, the interior of my eyelids, the interior of my nostrils. We'll do just a couple more rounds. And then finishing up, just complete or come to a completion point with that. We'll switch the cross of our legs. We'll do one more, yes, head, shoulder item here. Interlace the hands behind the head and the neck. So the littlest fingers are under the skull bone. And I think most importantly, these elbows are rather close to the temple. So it's really easy to splay them out. Bring them in. As I draw them in, the back of my shoulder blades, the skin and the tissues, take on a very different tension and shape. So I draw the elbows inwardly. Lightly lift the arms up. Not pulling on the head or the neck, but I'm reaching up through the shoulders, arms, elbows, inhaling into the center of head and into the heart. Exhale, lift up through the shoulders, arms, and elbows without pulling on the head. The head can relax into the hands. Inhale fully, exhale thoroughly. One deep breath more here. When we release the hands from the head, we'll situate pelvis on ground, straighten right leg, and bend left knee. Often we point our left foot forward when we do a setup like this. I want to offer that you can turn your left foot out to the left. It will create a very different access into the inner left hip. So I just want you to have that ability. We can position left foot forward, or I can step that left foot kind of out 10 o'clock, almost 9 o'clock. Take the left arm to the bent left leg. I've turned my foot out, so I'm actually nudging the inner part of my calf, shin, and thigh. Inhaling, use that left arm nudge to lengthen through your core, your trunk. So if I had my foot turned forward, I would feel this a lot in the shoulder and the back side of the body. Because I've turned my foot out, the difference is it's a lot more of the inner groin, the hip crease area, and kind of this side lumbar tissue. And having nudged our trunk forward, now reach with one or both hands for some part of your straightened right leg. You may need to prop one of those hands up somewhere on the ground or beside you, and that's perfectly fine. But we're bending, folding over our straight leg, and our left leg is bent. When we release, we'll come upright and we'll switch sides. So straightened left leg, bent right leg. Okay. How we bend and place our right foot will just vary what we're feeling most prominently. I'm going to take a turn and turn my foot a little to the right. And on exhale, take the right arm to the inner, to the right shin, the right bent leg, and nudge the direction backward. If I nudge straight back with my arm, my torso tends to lengthen forward. And I'm just going to sustain this. I'm not interlocking necessarily. Nudging back to lengthen forward. And then reaching with one or both hands for your straightened left leg or foot. So I might just reach with one if I still need some balance to stay upright. And I'm keeping the sole of my right foot firmly planted on the ground as I continue to lengthen trunk forward. And release. Inhale, we'll make our way up. When we lie back, we'll be engaging the hip crease, the hip flexor area quite a bit. When we cross our right knee over our left in twisted root. We'll leave the head down on the ground and we'll jump right into what's usually the second part of these that we do. Place the hands on the right thigh. Ensure both halves of your back can be felt on the ground. Inhaling into the low back, again, keeping the head on the ground. And now exhale. Shift the tailbone. Draw the thigh bones at your chest and let the hands kind of brace, pushing back. So one will get a really great abdominal hit because we're pushing our palms into our lap, and the hip flexors, as we're drawing the thighs toward the chest, draw the low belly down. And then easing up on those pressures, inhale. And exhale, draw the thighs toward the chest. Use the hands, press. Curling tailbone. Pull low belly down. Easing up on the pressures, inhale. And exhale. Draw the thigh bones at chest, palms push back into the thighs. Draw the low belly in and down. We'll do one more on this side, inhaling. Momentary relief of pressures, and then exhale, a grand increase of pressures. Thigh into thigh, thigh toward chest, palms into thigh. Draw low belly down. Releasing, inhale, unwind. Now, part of the why we will do this particular abdominal move is to help the thigh bone rotate inwardly. So you may just want to move it through those ranges. You can either set your legs out and just roll the legs inwardly and outwardly. You can set the feet widely and just tent one knee in at a time. So all those times our foot goes behind our butt, we need that internal rotation to get into that move. So let's do the other side, left knee over right. Leave the head on the ground, place the palms on the left thigh. Ensure both halves of your back feel stable on the ground. Inhale into the low belly, low back. And then exhale, draw the thigh bones in at your belly. Push with the palms. Maybe feel yourself pressing thigh into thigh, and then draw the low belly in and down. All right, let's do the last 3 of these on our own. Please continue. You could even assist that top leg's internal rotation. You can use one of your hands and you can actually roll. You can assist roll thigh bone inwardly. Some of you may be feeling this more on the outer hip, one of those outer hips. And when you're through, we'll release. And let's turn onto a side, preparing for dolphin. A lot of creasing, a lot of compression, a lot of pressures in that lap, in that hip crease area. So with the elbows under the shoulders, the knees under the hips. Moving on exhale. Up we go into dolphin. So settling into the right heel, you could do this just by assisting the right heel down, stepping on it, or just settling a little extra weight in there. Inhale, smoothly raise the left leg up. Now, can you recreate just very subtly that internal rotation in both legs? I'm not really turning my toes inwardly. It's more of just the thigh bone ever so slightly rotates inwardly. And if you're not sure which way is inwardly, that's okay. We'll just reach back in a more linear fashion. So I find, these are my findings, that if I encourage and sense the internal rotation of my left leg, the one in the air, I just by default can get a feeling of my inner right leg working, stabilizing me on the ground. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And for those of us who have a tendency to sag one of our hips, that little internal rotation in that inner leg is a boon for that back support. Let's switch sides. We'll set the left leg down. Okay, we can settle some weight into that left heel and draw the right foot up. Mm-hmm. Yes, 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 yes. imagine, feel the legs crossing one over the other. Of course, we're not crossing our legs, but we're just encouraging the sensing of the inner leg line. It's a line of energy, it's a line of support, it's a line of inner connectivity. Great, we'll set that foot down. We'll gently set the knees down. And straight away, we'll press into downward dog. So inhaling, slip the hands under the shoulders. Exhale, downward dog, pressing the knees right back up. Inhale, step the right foot forward, lunge. We'll take that with the knee up and the heel up. We're getting right into it, right? Hands could be down, leg, or overhead. And inhale, we'll place the left knee down very softly. Okay. Now, usually I would have us back our weight up over that left knee. But when I just gently set my knee down, I'm also getting a nice kind of torsion, like the twist of the tension on that left leg is actually very pleasant and I think beneficial for this twist where we hook this left elbow over the right thigh. And I'm enjoying just playing with feeling the tension, kind of the stretch, the tension, the sensation of the left leg tracking into that left side abdomen, left side back. This is a very important structural, we might call it a crossroads, where tissue starts to take on lots of different directionalities. It's like a major structural intersection. And so to keep that little bit of tension through my left leg, that little stretch, little tension, I'm actually using my left toes on the ground and still kind of pressing like I'm in a bit of a lunge. All right, now moving down a little more deeply. Left armpit down to thigh for interlock, twisting interlock, lunge. And one option here is to press your back knee off the ground. Releasing hands. Inhale, we'll unwind for pyramid. I've set the hands down. Now I'm shortening stance, straightening legs, folding forward. Pyramid. And bending right knee, inhale, hands to ground. Exhale, chaturanga. We'll step back and we'll lower all the way down to the earth. Cobra. Inhale. Exhale, lower. Downward dog. Let's do that lunge on the other side. Inhale, left foot forward. So the right knee and the right heel remain up off the ground. It's usually when my feet feel well connected that I can also feel the inclination to relax the tension under the skull, if any. So when the feet feel established in the ground, that head space can soften and expand and flow. To me, it's got a flowing feeling. To ungrip is to feel that flowing quality again. Yeah. Y'all getting such great support out of the lunge legs. It's really neat. Okay. So while we'll set this knee down, I'm going to just set it directly down without any weight shift, because I still want to play with that right leg tension. Adjust to suit. Twisting lunge. Exhale the right elbow over the left thigh. Now I would scooch my knee under my hip if I felt a little wobbly, just needed some more balance. So that's one possible reason to adjust your weight shift. And the interlock, sliding the right armpit down yet again. There's an option here of pressing the back knee off the ground. And we release the hands, pyramid. So inhaling, unwind, straighten out of that lunge, shorten stance, and with legs straightened, fold. I think part of the discovery of core, how do we feel that deep and centralmost part of ourself, is a function of releasing and deepening. So the bodily sensing wakes up at deeper and deeper levels. There's a kind of a release gesture that seems to correspond with that enhanced and deeper sensitivity. It's in the sensing of core more so than the getting to core. It's not a going to and arriving, it's a sensing, a sense arrive. Bend that left knee, inhale, hands to ground. Exhale, chaturanga. Inhale, cobra, upward dog, if your shoulders feel ready. Exhaling, downward dog. All right, let's step our feet under our pelvis, stand. And I welcome any wall support at our back for our standing splits. Here's why I would use a wall at my back. Often we grab a foot and we start to press it out. If you have a kind of a loose sacral area, usually one leg pulls the half of the back forward, and while the other leg kind of draws half the back backward. So I might put my sacrum up against a wall just to ensure that I'm not pulling additionally on those sacral joints and tissues. So it's an optional move. It's just a way to just create some feedback around the sacrum. So let's grab the right foot with both hands. And coming from that really deep hip crease and pressing that right foot forward. My right foot presses forward, my left foot is pointed forward. And the right leg doesn't have to straighten. Okay. If you're working on straightening a leg, it might be fun to play on straightening the ground leg, the left leg in this instance. Maintaining that right leg in the air. Switch your grip. Left hand goes to the outer right foot. And if you're against a wall, just stay back to wall. It's perfect. So left hand has the outer right foot. And even though the back is on the wall, you can turn the chest. So we can turn the chest without twisting the low back. And bend the right knee, we'll set the right foot down. Both hands grab left foot. Standing splits. So coming from this deep hip crease, straightening left leg. Switching grip. Right hand takes the outer edge of left foot. If you still are at a wall, just remain there. It's great. Again, bend that left leg, we'll set foot down. So we will use the wall for a shower variation. I'd like to show us, remind us. So this shower variation is the one where we place our forearms on the wall, hinge, and then reach the sit bones away from the elbows. So if you have that kind of wall surface available, go for it. If you don't have a wall surface like that, you can latch onto a ledge or a door frame or a chair. So again, the hands and the forearms, shoulder width, and then hinge. The spine is parallel to the ground. The footing is such that you can draw your sit bones back. I'm exploring deep breaths under the shoulder blades, the mid ribs, the upper ribs. Pushing the wall with the forearms. Reaching, using the leg strength to draw the sit bones back. I've got my hands, forearms, and elbows on the wall. That will create a lot more tension. Usually we do it with the hands, but I'm putting my forearms on the wall for a greater stretch through the tricep, armpit, and shoulder. There you go. Yeah, you may need to step your feet forward. And let's take this directly to the ground for side crow. If you have any issues with the wrist, I can show you a wall version of side crow. Ground first. If I crouch, keeping my knees together, I hook over far thigh, and I tip my hip and leg weight atop my elbows. So I may work side crow just like this, and gradually straightening the legs. I'm using the inner legs a lot to create some stability so my pelvis isn't wiggling atop my arms. Okay. And if you're unable to bear weight on your wrists for whatever reason today, you can do this as a wall version, where we do the same contact, planting the hands, and you'll straighten the legs gradually as you enact a little internal rotation or an inner leg engagement. So we'll choose a side. I'll talk through the right side and I'll talk through the left side. So if you're a step ahead, just stay a step ahead. It's perfect. So cross my left elbow over my right thigh. My palms to the ground, entirely to the ground, not fingertips, palms. Now I bridge my elbows with my right hip and leg. So there's a bridge. So I kind of teeter into side crow, which is kind of side embryo for a moment. There you go. Nice, nice, nice. Yeah. I think the inner leg, the intoning a sporilic motion through the ball mounts of the feet helps stabilize us atop our arms. Nice, nice. Yeah. So let's leave enough juice in the palms to do the other side. I didn't offer directions for exiting. We could practice an exit if you choose. So once we're in side crow, it might be interesting to just think about how to get the legs to the back of the yoga mat. You might start to reach with one foot, that top foot back. So I think the common exit routine is to kind of just flip off the arms and but we could think in the direction of downward dog. We can start to grow the trajectory from side crow to downward dog. I'll just give us a few more moments to work the left side. Yeah. more of a stepping than a yeah. It's kind of fun and tricky getting that top leg to reach back and press to the ground. Yeah, nice, nice. That's it. And pressing back into downward dog. All right. Gently set the knees down. Let's have a seat. We'll do one final fold. So crossing the right knee over, crossing the left knee over the right straightened leg. Right leg straight, left leg crossed over it. Exhale, folding forward. You might grab the right foot or the right leg. And release. We'll switch sides. Straightening left leg, cross Right bent leg over left straight leg. And folding forward. When I'm grabbing my foot, we can grab it in a way that creates relief in the digits and the wrists. So we'll take that opportunity, having just applied a pressure on the hands and the wrists. How would you grab or tack your fingers down under your leg? How do you hold so that as you're drawing, pulling, you can actually be opening up through the wrist? The hand muscles can be working strongly as they're opening up. There's very different qualities of grab and grasp. And when we release, we'll come upright and we'll set up for Shavasana. So once lying, I would like to just walk us through the core area, just a very brief, a very general way. And we can learn how our sense of centrality has altered in any way. So we began with the nostrils to find a head center. Just going a little behind the nasal cavity, between the ears. And let your sense of centrality guide you down to the heart, the center of chest. And if you have ease of access to your core, it's a very simple move. It's an almost automatic move from the head through the core to the heart. You notice there's a slightly different timbre, there's a slightly different tone of the core at the level of the heart. And we'll just make one more move down to the tail, the perineum, or even the center of pelvis. We get to these lower centers of the torso. They're all quite stacked and very close to one another. So you can be in the center of your low belly, the center of your pelvis, the center of your perineum. Those will all work. And again, the timbre, the tone, the buzz, the quality of the core feels different here in the pelvis. than it does in the heart, than it does in the head. It's from this core, I think we distill through the many emotional substrates of our humanity, and we arrive at those flavors of consciousness that feel like presence and kindness and virtue and compassion and generosity. I think we find these qualities as we contact and live from that core, that deeper sense of ourself. All right, so when you're ready, bend knees. Turn to a side and press to seated. Namaste. Thanks for the play date.